Today, I would like to talk about this productivity tool which I'm building. Now, this tool is an easy way for me to visualize and track the different projects which I've got in active development. And also, I guess the big goal for this tool for me was to be able to monitor the work my agents are doing and provide human in the loop feedback to ensure that the projects are on track and the tasks are being built as intended. So, taking a look at this project here, we can see I get a dashboard, and we can see all of our projects on the left side here that I've currently got configured for my workspace. The Agentic Project Tracker has a dashboard where you can see a bunch of tasks, which I've currently got on the works, and these ones are currently being built by an agent as we speak. I can visualize an active diff of what's going on, so I can have a real-time update feed of like what the changes are that the agent is doing. I'm able to visualize sessions that relate to this project that an agent has contributed to. And this is a historical visualization of like all the different chat sessions. So if I am, for instance, working in the CLI and have a session with Claude where Claude is managing a bunch of tasks and performing a bunch of code changes, I'm able to then also see that same session in this dashboard here. I have a configuration for pipelines, so assuming it is a GitHub repository and I've got specific CI/CD constraints set up, I can actually visualize the pipeline and make sure that they are in fact passing based on the changes the agents are making. So you can see here, for instance, that there was a failure, and I believe in this case the agent actually picked up this failure and then made a task to fix it, and then started auto working on the task, fixed the thing, and then ended up deploying this version 7 release. So this pipeline dashboard is really very, very helpful in terms of making sure the project is stable and like tests are passing, etc. Type checks are passing, all that important stuff for quality assurance reasons. Another feature which I like is this active release dashboard. So this is a visualization of the current release that's being worked on by the agent, so like the unpublished release on GitHub. So typically what will happen is you might have work being done on, let's say, develop branch if it's a small repository, and then that work would be pushed into master, and you would create a release at that kind of push state, right? So you'd create that release at the point that you're going to check in your code into master and have it deploy into a release environment. So this dashboard here allows you to visualize all the different changes that have gone in since the previous release was published. So we can see like what will be included in this current release. So this would be version 10, and currently I believe we're running version 9 of the app. If I go here to about, so we can see we're running version 9 of the app, and then in the Agentic Tracker we can see this is the current contribution that agents are working towards is version 10 of this app, or 0.10. And you can see here, these are all the changes since version 9. And we can also then navigate from here to see the actual like changes since last GitHub link and all that stuff. So yeah, this release is pretty much the main dashboard I look at when I want to visualize the changes that the agents have actually made holistically before publishing the release. And then when I'm ready, this is the human in the loop. I would review all the changes that are being made, and we can see an agent just pushed another feature in based on the tasks that it's currently working on. And I'm able to then say, okay, publish release, and that will queue then a task in this task list for an agent to pick up and do all the changes to actually like merge it into develop, cut that release, and then bump the versions and do all that stuff. Now, a lot of the backbone of this work is based on the actual skill configuration. So I talked about that in my last video, but you have to have like the correct skills configured either in your global workspace or like your per project workspace. So some of these projects work a little bit differently, and the kind of release pipeline is a little bit different. So the tool is implemented in a generic or agnostic way where I hope it can kind of tailor to most of those needs. But again, sometimes the skills or the way project release cadence works, it doesn't necessarily work with this approach. Now, the last kind of view in this dashboard is for analytics. Now, this is a cool one. This is kind of generic. We can see it just connects to the GitHub API and shows a bunch of like different analytics. Now, my plan for the future of this tool is to actually be able to have this be plug and play, so you can maybe throw in like some Vercel analytics from the Vercel dashboard, assuming your project is using that, or like whatever other constraints you might have on your project. And we can also then visualize like previous releases and see release notes for all of that stuff, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so far that's the current state of, I guess, all the different dashboards. And what'll happen is then I've got all of my projects running concurrently, and I might have a bunch of work scoped out for each of these projects. Now you can see here, this one has these two projects currently have tasks running, and this one has like a task that's pending like human in the loop input. So by just looking at the dashboard, you can kind of get a nice visualization of the work the agents are doing concurrently. And then if I was to go to my inbox, we can see here, I've got one thing which is waiting human input, which is this question from my agentic study platform. Now, I'm not ready to answer this question, so I'm just going to leave it in my inbox for now. But we can see once an agent is ready for, or requires like human in the loop iteration, or is ready for review on something, it will then push it to the inbox. Now, there is actual task creation and delegation as part of this app as well. So one of the recent changes which I've made is to actually add a looping and agent task mode to this tool. So what looping will do is it will basically allow an agent to just pick up the next task in this queue, whereas previously, once a task was completed, it would go to the inbox. Like, assuming looping is turned off, the task will go to the inbox for review. But my current pipeline for getting work done and kind of doing human in the loop review is by using the releases dashboard instead. So by having looping enabled, I can basically scope out a bunch of work. My agent will then complete all that work pending a release actually being triggered by the human. So at that point, I would kind of go through and review all the work that's been done. And now the cool thing about that is I've also got agent tasks. So this agent task allows the agent to create new tasks as it sees fit, assuming there's like certain criteria that are blocking certain task creation rules, which are then also established by the skill configuration on your like actual project or global settings, right? So like in my case, I'm telling my agent you can create skills you can create tasks assuming the task will like improve project structure or fix bugs or maybe fix some linting problems, then make a task for it so that it's kind of documented and we can visualize that in like a change log. And when we go through like the release process, we can actually see feature. Then there might be like another commit for defect or another commit for like cleanup, fix some linting stuff, whatever, right? So the agent actually will create tasks, add it to the queue, and then do that work iteratively in kind of a looped fashion, and then the human just would go through and review it all. So it's quite a cool system, and this is all established by having skills as like the backbone, and then this tool kind of being a wrapper and a GUI to allow the human in the loop to manage what's going on between all of their different projects. And this process has actually worked for me. The agent task, I have actually been quite impressed. It ended up finding a bunch of like missed end-to-end use cases and then built a bunch of tasks for them and just completed them because this looping task was also enabled, right? So I just let it do its thing overnight while I went to bed, and then in the morning it actually had added a bunch of end-to-end coverage which were contained as like their own tasks. And a cool thing about this is I've got like filtering enabled, so I can enable the archive list of tasks which are completed and then filter based on a bunch of different constraints. So we can see like, I guess, I don't know, maybe what the agent did on this particular day for this project. And then, yeah, just another side note, I've got this active tasks view, which allows me to see like what different agents across different projects are working on concurrently. It is important to know that I only have like one agent working on one project at a time because I don't want there to be conflicts within the work itself, and like I don't have this configured for Git work trees in my specific workflow or skill configuration. So I'm just assuming we'll have one agent per project, but then I'm able to manage them all in this view and see kind of which tasks are being contributed on by each agent in each of those projects at a time. Now, another important thing to note is this tool is actually integrated with, it only currently supports Claude because that's kind of the ecosystem I'm using. And we can see here, I've connected Claude in my settings, and then I'm able to visualize the usage. And I've also got a little dashboard or like little widget in the bottom left where I can see as the agents kind of churn through all my budget, how much I've got left to use, which is cool. But I mean, I don't know, based on feedback and whether or not people actually want to use this tool, I might consider adding generic support for, I guess, whatever model or provider you want to kind of plug into this system. But currently, yeah, it only supports Claude. And yeah, that's the tool. It doesn't do everything, but it kind of optimizes the small tasks and being able to monitor agents concurrently, which is nice for productivity reasons and kind of being able to track multiple things all in one space. So for me, it's been a huge productivity boost and still allow me to have like confidence in the quality that my projects are establishing for themselves. So yeah, I'll post the GitHub links and maybe a link to my previous video, which covers my entire workspace configuration a bit more in depth. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.